Morning everyone, we're heading out in the Gulf today. We've already seen whales and dolphins and lots of birds diving. The water looks really green where we are at the moment. There's a current, but we'll see how we get on today. I just got my foot wet. Fashion.
It's the end of winter and we're out on our mate Dan's boat on a fantastic day on the water. We're diving a bit of coastline that I've never dived before, so it's really exciting checking out the underwater terrain and seeing what fish we might find. Straight away we got onto some nice snapper. There's a decent one out mid-water, out off the ledge. I can't quite close the distance on. All the good signs were there. There was so many blue mau and demoiselles everywhere. The place was alive.
Sophie, there's a really big, Spanish lobster down here. Come have a look at it.
Spanish copper.
Lobster.
Oh.
Spanish lobster have many different names depending on where they are around the world. They're commonly found in Australia, they're even found up in the Atlantic Ocean, might even be found in the Mediterranean as well. I have eaten them before and they are very nice eating, but not very clever.
Yeah, they're quite good to eat, yeah. Do you want to grab it? It's very easy to grab. Did you not see it? Follow me down again now.
I was just so worried about your spear.
Mm-hmm.
Or my spear.
You'll see it doesn't really try and get away when Sophie grabs it. Certainly a lot easier to catch than our red crayfish or our packhorse crayfish.
I don't know if I want to keep it.
We can put him back. He's not very clever, eh?
No, he's cool.
Keep his head below the water so we don't damage him. It's a big one.
Sophie decides that it wasn't very sporting taking one of these, so we're just going to put it back. No doubt there'll be plenty of other crayfish that we can look for. I think Spanish lobster try to rely on their camouflage more than their ability to get away. Sophie takes the lead on the fish front and she shoots herself a nice snapper snooping along the coastline. A lot of this underwater terrain was perfect for snapper with nice gutways and drop-offs, with plenty of bait fish.
What was it doing?
It was like literally just exactly where you expected it. Just beyond the cliff face and kind of just like nosied up towards me. Oh, what's that? I waited, like, oh. And I just shoot it in the right spot.
It's a nice one.
Yeah.
That's good, eh? You better bleed it and get the guts out of it, eh?
As per usual, we're working in tandem. One of us will tow the float boat while the other one's snooping for snapper. Again, I missed a shot and Sophie grabs another snapper. Sophie's showing a perfect technique for snapper snooping. She's slowly creeping up to the ledge, taking her time and holding her gun back, ready at any point to shoot a fish.
That hurt.
What's wrong?
Oh,
What's wrong?
the spines.
And sure enough, while I'm looking for crayfish, she manages to shoot a really nice one. But as you can hear, it spiked it really badly in her hand. Anyone who's been spiked by a fish or a snapper before knows it can be really painful.
Soph, there's another good snapper just there. There's another good snapper just there.
Sophie certainly seemed to have the fish under control, so I started looking under rocks for power and crayfish. I found a jumble of boulders and there was plenty of good crayfish underneath them. Often I'll carry my Wettie torch in my knife pouch, as it will come in handy. You'll be surprised the crayfish and whatnot under the rocks that you don't see without one. And of course I've got my Wettie float boat on hand, which is perfect for putting all my shellfish and my fish into. But I make sure to put it in tail first, so then it shoots up the front of the boat. It didn't take long to find another bunch of them. This one a really good size one, with nowhere to go. There seemed to be crayfish all over the place, and yes, there were some other good ones in that hole, but if possible I tend to leave the other ones in there, as if I take all the crayfish out of a hole, it's unlikely that other ones will go back into it in the future. After a good swim, the other boys picked us up.
I got confused and didn't know how to do it.
That's great. Achievement. A hammer? Oh no, that's your one to take, isn't it?
I thought that fish was so much bigger.
Off to the next spot. Pretty happy with the snapper that Sophie got us, and we got a couple of crayfish. We headed out deeper to check out a weed edge to see if we could find some John Dory, Cherokee, or even a lucky winter boarfish. Here the visibility wasn't as good. The bottom was alive with fish. Lots and lots of bait fish, and heaps of really good sign that we were going to see something good. Trying to check through all the other species, I spotted Hauraki coming in. It's hard to resist on my very first dive. As I drifted with the current on the next dive, more and more Hauraki came in. This was such an enjoyable dive with so many bait fish and so many Hauraki, especially for up in the north here. I had already speared one, so I thought I'd just leave them for the others to shoot a couple. Before heading back to the boat, we shot back into the shallows. And the boys discovered this. These are all shedded shells from packhorse crayfish. Sure enough, with my torch, there they all are, hiding under the hole. All through the shallows, there were their discarded shells that they'd just shed. They were quite brittle, so it might have been shed maybe a few days ago. Often the case when you see this is the crayfish can still be soft as they're waiting for their new shell to harden. I already had 2 red crayfish, and I prefer to eat red crayfish when the opportunity is there over packhorse. A little bit sweeter and a little bit more my taste. Once I'd used my torch in the back of these caverns, you'd see there was loaded with packhorse. They're right up in the back of the holes. And I wonder if that's a case of them being soft, they're finding themselves to be vulnerable. So they don't want to be out in the open where they could be attacked by a snapper or a banded wrasse or something similar like that. Dan did find a really nice crack full of red crays, right up in the shallow. Often people ask, how deep do you need to dive to find crayfish? Well, you'll see here that we're barely getting our fins below the surface. This was a really nice spot. Right up high in the white water here, and Dan grabs a nice one. I made this a lot more difficult than it needed to be. But I was trying not to damage it to pull any legs off, as that's my favourite part of the crayfish. In the area that we're in, I'm only allowed a maximum of 3 red crayfish. I can get a combination of these and pack horse up to a 6 in total, but only 3 of the red ones. I prefer eating them anyway, so this is enough for me. I'm going to take these back to the boat and clip the tails, as that's what fisheries regulate for these areas to show that this is recreational catch.
Here he is. What you got?
Crayfish.
Nice.
Crayfish.
Nice work.
There's heaps of them around. We've found some really good holes in the rocks of the river. We even found that Spanish lobster. Found some small pack horse crayfish. Been an amazing day under the rocks.